Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thanks for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. I know that you spend a significant portion of your life at work, so I'm on a mission to help provide you with tools and inspiration and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I'm really excited about today's show. I have three amazing individuals who are part of the 2014 Teach Road Trip team representing Road Trip Nation. And I want to welcome Rafael Silva, Grace Worm, and Nadia Berkovich to the show today. Welcome to the three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Now, I know that you are coming in from Denver, Colorado today, right?
That's
Correct.
right.
Excellent. But you've been road tripping literally from coast to coast, talking with folks in the educational sphere and discovering how teaching is really changing the world. So I'd love to hear, first of all, tell our audience, would one of you tell our audience what Road Trip Nation is all about?
Yes, Road Trip Nation is a company that sponsors young people who are trying to find their path in life. And they go across the country in these RVs and they talk to inspiring leaders in all different walks of life. And our road trip is all about talking to educators and people around education and teachers and getting a broad view of how many different people are working in education across the country.
Excellent. Now, I'd love for each of you to introduce yourselves again and tell us where you are on your educational journey, because the three of you didn't know each other before this summer's Road Trip Nation excursion, right?
Correct.
That's right.
Excellent. So who'd like to start?
I'll start. So this is Rafael speaking. I do go by Rafi, though.
Okay, Rafi.
Hey, what's up? I'm the youngest of the three. I'm 20 years old. I'm from San Diego, California, and go to school at UCLA, and it's my last year there. So where I'm at right now in my path is, well, that I haven't really started it yet. And so it's come to this point where it's my last year in college, and I have to start making these decisions about what I want to do with my life. And education has always been one of my first options. It's something that I've been genuinely interested in. What brought me to this trip with Road Trip Nation was that I was kind of insecure and not quite sure if I wanted to make that leap into actually committing to it. And there's many reasons behind that. You know, it has to do with my family, with what my friends think, and, you know, with my own personal insecurities. And so I'm on this trip to get a little bit more self-assurance about where I want to go and to see what else I can do besides just teaching.
Awesome, Rafi. Thank you for that. So,
Yeah.
ladies, who's next? We've got Grace and we've got Nadia. Who'd like to share their story?
I'm going to go next. This is Grace speaking. My name is Grace Worm. I'm 22 years old. I've got one class left at the University of Texas at
Woohoo!
Austin. So close. And I've been studying English education. I've spent the last year at a high school doing my student internship and then working at the high school. I am a certified English teacher in Texas, which is really exciting. But I grew up moving all around with my dad being in the military, and so I've been to so many different schools. I don't want to settle down and teach in one school. I'm kind of on a different path, but I know that I love teaching and that I want to be a part of teaching.
Excellent. Thanks, Grace. And Nadia, what about your story?
My story is a little different. My name is Nadia. I'm 24 years old. I graduated from UMass Amherst about 2 years ago with a degree in communications and science. And then I worked in corporate for about a year, and then I went backpacking for a long time through South and Central America, where I took a lot of teaching jobs in different aspects. So it would be like, for example, arts teaching or yoga teaching or English and Spanish classes, and very diverse creative aspects of teaching. And so I'm trying to incorporate that into a job that would provide me with the financial situation to live comfortably, but also the freedom to be able to travel and also grow in my personal life. So now I'm trying to merge work and play and creativity, and hoping that by talking to all these inspiring leaders, I can find the space to do that, or maybe create a new one that doesn't exist.
Excellent. I love it. You know, this is the ultimate test drive, every pun intended, right? You get a chance to informational interview people and really have this experiential opportunity to test drive teaching and see what it's all about. So I'd love for all of you to respond. What is it in particular about the field of education that really got you excited? And you're all thinking about this for your career move. So what was it that sparked that interest?
For me, this is Rafi speaking. I started to get interest in my high school way to do a senior project to graduate. And from that experience, I had the opportunity of working with a sixth grade class and I actually got to design a rap-based curriculum that focused on world history and English, fused them together in rap songs that I wrote, and then I got to present it to a class. And so that was my first experience with the classroom. And even though that was only 2 hours, I got to work firsthand with the kids. I did the first section where I presented the information, and then the second part of the lecture, they got to write their own raps and show a little bit of the creative side. And it was in that portion of my time with them that I got to see that creative spark in the kids. I got to see the work that I did reflected in them, and I got to see them into what they were doing. And so I think it's just that spark that you get in the kid when you interact with them, when you know that you've done something right, that you've taught them something and they get it, that really drives me to be in education.
Oh, that's awesome, Rafi. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, game on. What's your stories?
So this is Nadia speaking. To me, education is kind of a holistic 360 approach, and that's what I'm interested in, balancing the, I guess, mental health aspect of being happy and feeling fulfilled, and also learning new things every day and feeling physically fine as well and healthy. So I started getting involved more and more into that when I was traveling and I was teaching in this little town in Colombia. I was teaching English and Spanish through games and art therapy, and I was working with really little kids and also with adults and their parents. And it was just, I just understood that it could be such an elastic term, and there's so much room within education to do creative things.
Very nice. And Grace?
Yes. So I think my love of teaching started really from a love of learning and a love of being in school. My mother was an English professor. My sister's a librarian. We have tons of teachers in the family. And I think that I really loved learning, and I kept on that path, and I started into college with wanting to study to be an educator, but I didn't know that I really loved it until I got into the classroom. And I'd kind of done jobs around teaching for really my whole life, but until I got into the classroom and I was creating my own curriculum and my own lesson plans, that was when I really felt that I loved it, and that I just had this moment of, okay, I've been saying I've wanted to be a teacher for a long time, but this is really when I knew that I could do it and that I could be happy and that I really enjoyed it.
Good for the three of you. I have to tell you, as a career coach, it's music to my ears because you have given yourself opportunities to test drive what you love. And clearly, all three of you have unique and wonderful passions for education, and it's palpable. I can hear it in your voices, so thank you for that. So I want to paint a picture, though, to our listening audience, because you are literally traveling the country together in an RV. How long have you been on the road?
This is about our 14th day now, I believe. We started on the West Coast in San Francisco, and we spent a good amount of time in California, and we are now in Colorado. But from here, it's pretty much we're going across the country. We're ending in DC, and we're also going to New York and Chicago and Boston. So we are definitely going to go straight across the country.
Yes, you are. And how long is the entire trip? What is the long-term itinerary?
It's a total of 35 days.
Got it. Okay. Amazing. So let's toggle back to teaching, right? Have any of you been able to dispel some misperceptions or myths that you thought about regarding teaching as a job or education in general? Have you been pleasantly surprised or maybe disappointed in some things? What have you learned now that you didn't know before?
This is Grace speaking. I think as the only three of us that had some experience working inside of a school, and I've definitely taken the most traditional path towards education, it's been very interesting to talk to people in all walks of life outside of just what I think people think of as traditional education. And it's been really challenging for me, challenging a lot of my views on education. But it's also been, equally inspiring to hear people who are in such different aspects of teaching that all come down to this love for children and wanting to create a space for children to really learn the best that they can. But it's definitely been a mixture of challenging talking to these very charismatic people, and really, really inspirational and exciting.
And with whom are you meeting? Are these are leaders, these are teachers, these are administrators? Tell us about the types of leaders you've met with and the advice that they've shared.
I mean, the people we're talking to kind of run the gamut of what it means to be involved in education. I mean, you have the classic teacher. We've interviewed a middle school teacher. You have people who work in administration. We've interviewed a principal who works in Compton. And then we also have people who kind of operate outside of that. We have people who've started their own education nonprofits. We've talked to inventors whose inventions have worked in education. And so it can be hard to kind of draw a common thread through all of them because they're just so unique in their own ways. What I've noticed is that a lot of the advice that I get from these people don't necessarily relate exactly to education. What I found most valuable from the interviews is that, they're talking a lot more about very general things that you can apply to in life. Drive, passion, energy, attacking things with enthusiasm. And so I think it's been more those kinds of things that I've been drawing from these interviews.
That's wonderful. I love the transferability of that. So it's interesting, Rafi, to hear you talk about some of the unique and unexpected people that you've met thus far. For either of you, any one of the three or all three, what's been the most unusual or unexpected person in the realm of education with whom you've been in contact thus far?
This is Nadia speaking. So just to get an idea of the range, one of the people we interviewed a couple of days ago, her name is Melissa Michaels, and she has this approach towards education that she calls a rite of passage. She leads a dance. I mean, a part of what she does is she leads a dance camp that's a week long, and this is in Boulder, Colorado. And it is an experience where you dance through the 5 rhythms of life, and you're supposed to really find yourself. And after this, they lead creative discussions, and a lot of different speakers come to the camp as well. And then they hash out their thoughts through drawing, through writing, through a lot of creative outlets. And this prepares people to then really kind of focus or refocus into what they want to do. So that's one of the examples. She also, she's an educator. She has a PhD in education and does a lot of other things involved in the community. But that's just a very different contrast. For example, in just opposition to the people we interviewed at Google, or the people who teach in a classroom every day, or I don't know who anybody else can think of. Anyone else? Atari, the creator of Atari, Nolan Bushnell. So yeah, and sometimes the conversations are very technology based, and people have very, very strong opinions, and it's interesting because they all seem very, very valid, because you like talk to these people who are already successful and they have very diverse, valid opinions. So then it's interesting and up to us to, after all these conversations, kind of form our own opinions about what is right and what is wrong, or what feels like what is wrong.
Okay, so let's get real for a minute. You are together in this RV, and you're going to be there for a good long time. Tell me about that experience, and a little bit more about the Road Trip Nation quest and what it's like living and working together, traveling across the country.
This is Grace. I'll tell you right off the bat that Rafi has a morning hair routine.
Okay, Rafi, you've just been outed. There you go. Let's hear it.
It's called the cycle, and there are steps within the cycle that have to be completed. But no, in general, I've gotten to know everyone that we're in the RV with. Not just the 3 of us, but the 2 filmers that are with us. It's very, intimate, close quarters.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about somebody very quickly. But it's been, a lot of fun. Yeah.
Rafi, I have to give you a chance to respond, my dear, so have at it.
Well, for starters, if you're going to make a television appearance, you want to look your best.
I hear you.
And so the hair, it's a thing that you got to take care of. And with me, you think guys can just wake up in the morning and look pretty. That's just not how it works.
You're beautiful, Rafi.
I mean, there's steps you got to take. And
Well,
everyone has their own personal quirks. Grace has her own too that I could mention. Nadia has her own as well. For example, Grace is a snore every once in a while.
That is not true.
I hear it. It's not all the time, but every once in a while it'll sound like there's a vacuum in the room, and it's all right. I've learned to live with that.
Nadia, we've got to give you your airtime. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. We all have our little ups and down moments, but I think overall, Roadtrip Nation did a great job matching us up, and we complement each other in the ways that we should, and we get along pretty well. So it's been an interesting journey so far. We still have like 20 days to go.
I was
so.
going to say, you're just in. All right, well, you call me after it's all over and let me know. But I'd love to just hear, have there been so far anything that you would say was just unforgettable, really transformative for you?
I would say transformative moments have been just being able to have these conversations. It's not a specific moment. I can think of when I've been really overwhelmed from an interview and come back, and because we're grappling with these really big, theories within education that nobody really has answers to, and just to come back and be able to talk to the two of them, they don't have answers either. And I think that that's been really transformative, is going from a space in college where I felt like I was being prepared to go out into the world and have all the right answers, to coming back here and being able to have this platform to ask these questions that no one gets to ask, and then have these discussions that with other people that don't know the answers either, has been really eye-opening for me.
Awesome. Rafi and Nadia, what's your take?
Yeah, I am kind of along what Grace has been saying. It's hard to really pinpoint one specific moment, just because in general on the road, the notions of time can be very distorted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to really single out moments because, they're happening all the time, and it's hard to distill these kinds of moments because you're constantly moving. There's really no point of reference where you can sit down and really, consume everything. You got to keep moving, and you're moving to the next interview. And so really just the experience of being on the road and then having those times when you're on the road finally and the scenery is passing by, you're not really doing much and you finally get time to think. I think that's the times where I've had the most personal growth, when I've been able to reflect on things that have happened, not necessarily in the moment, but things that have passed a day before, maybe even a week before, and I finally got the time to reflect on it.
Good for you. Good for you. Nadia?
Yeah, so this is definitely a really big challenge at many levels, I think, emotionally and physically and mentally. And if you expect to grow a lot, you need to put a lot of you into it. And to me, when I signed up for this, I was hoping that this would be as big of a challenge as it was to me moving to the States and learning a language. And it really is. I think we're learning some other type of language, like a conversation that is not really in the public eye so often. And just in general, every single day, I feel like I'm starting to realize or weed out the people who inspire me and the people who don't, and the situations that inspire me and the situations that don't. So hopefully I'll be able to leave with a new toolbox and just kind of target or point my focus towards the things that will be productive.
Excellent. Now, I want you to put your career coaching hats on, all three of you, because you are incredible role models to your collegiate peers who are aspiring to tap into the field of education, but also some folks who might be a little bit older who are perhaps considering a career transition or a career change. So what's your advice for those who are considering education?
This is Grace. I would say that I believe that teaching is an incredibly influential and inspiring role, and that if you feel that you want to do that as a career and you think that you don't fit into one box, or you think that you love kids or you want to make a change in the future and you don't think that there's a space for you to do that, I would say that there absolutely is a space, and that there are so many facets of education. There are so many ways to inspire the new generation and be a part of making the future. I just can't think of a more worthy job to have than to help create, always be creating a better, a better generation or a better massive people who are coming into the world.
Nicely said. Excellent. Rafi and Nadia.
This is Nadia. So I think I am realizing that there are so many ways to invent new systems of education, and they can be side by side with the current system of education. So it's just incredible, like hearing from people how they, I guess it just gives me hope to see that you can come up with this crazy idea that it might not be so crazy and that it might actually work. And just getting the right people together, listening to everybody who's around you, or surrounding yourself with the right kind of people who will have the tools that you're lacking. And it just gives me hope again to get involved into being an educator, not necessarily a teacher, but just understanding that an educator is much bigger, I think, in a bigger definition term.
Excellent. Rafi?
Yeah, Caroline, this question kind of speaks to something that I've been trying to deal with, which is, what people think about education. And it's something that I've been trying to shed. And so I think what people have to keep in mind if they're interested in education is that they kind of just don't really have to care what people think if it's anything negative. And that's something that I've struggled with, I care about what my family thinks about me. I care about what my friends think about me, and I can't forget that. But what I do have to keep in mind is that in the end, it is my career. And, these people are helping me realize that I really shouldn't care what people think about what I'm going to do. If people think, oh, that's rather noble of you to go into a job that's not respected in society. Oh, or wow, that's quite a risk for you. I kind of just have to shut that noise out. And I think that other people who are going into education that are my age can learn from that as well.
Excellent. Okay, so my final question for you, road trippers. What do you know now that you didn't know 14 days ago before you started this journey? And it could be about yourself, about the field of education, anything. I'll let you take carte blanche with that.
How to parallel park an RV.
That's brilliant. So you can do that now.
We all can.
Brilliant.
With a little help from my friends.
All right, there you go. Okay, so you're parallel parking with ease. What else?
I've learned that education, or maybe just careers in general, can be a very long journey. We talk to people who found success in their 50s and 60s. And, the way that I saw the world was, okay, if I go out of college and I'm not immediately successful in my 20s, then I've done something wrong. I've failed, I've learned to kind of revise that and realize that there are different paths with different speeds. And just because I'm going into a career or a path that isn't necessarily immediately successful, whatever that means, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going the wrong way.
Nicely put. Nadia, you get the last word on this one, my dear.
Okay, so I think before I felt that life was really short, and especially your career life was really short, and I understand that we actually do have quite a bit of time, and in a year things can change significantly. Like I said, I'm 24, I'm turning 25, and I was in a rush to be successful when I turned 25, and I'm not anymore. I feel like I'm successful in many aspects of life, and my career success will come in due time.
That is fantastic. I love that. Thank you all. So tell me, and our listening audience, how they can follow you on this amazing Road Trip Nation journey. I know you're all over social media, so share some of those links and tell us how we can follow you on the blog as well.
Yeah, we've got a hashtag on the side of our RV actually that says Teach Road Trip, and so you can find that on Instagram. And there's also the Road Trip Nation is on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter. And the Instagram especially has more up-to-date what we're doing. We share pictures that we take along the journey and pass them back to the office.
And you're blogging too, right?
No, we're not. But this will all the end product of this it will all be on Pivot TV.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Rafael Silva, Grace Worm, and Nadia Berkovich, I want to thank you so much. What a treat to have you on. I wish you great success for the rest of your journey, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
much.
Take good care and enjoy the road.
Thank you.
And I want to thank all of you for tuning into Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. True career and life satisfaction is really possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.